Let's discuss power networking, how to communicate and connect with other people at a conference venue or at any other social event where there is strategic connections to be made. I am at a conference at the Intrepid in New York City. That's right, a conference at the Intrepid, like the aircraft carrier in like Manhattan. Yeah, really, it's pretty neat. That right there is some kind of Lockheed A-12 thing. I don't know, I thought it was a stealth bomber. I don't know one plane from the other, but they are totally fascinating to me regardless. Now that I'm at a conference, although you honestly cannot tell, this does not look like a typical venue, let's discuss power networking, how to communicate and connect with other people at a conference venue or at any other social event where there is strategic connections to be made. The first thing you have to recognize is there is a lot of people here. I mean, all right, at this end of the flight deck there isn't because I kind of walked away from everybody, but there's about 300 people at this conference. How do you choose which of those 300 people would be strategic to talk to? So I'm going to give you the very first tip, which is a key one. Make sure you have really good glasses if you don't have good vision. Eyeball their cards of what they do, their name tags. Then you put their name tag into Google on your phone and figure out who that person is before you go approach them to talk to them. Okay, that's a little bit of a hack, a trick, but you don't have to waste your time talking to people who cannot be strategic contacts for you. See, that's pretty critical, not to waste your time when you have all these people here. Next thing you can do, okay, once you do start talking to somebody, let's say you figure out they are the wrong person, but they cannot help you in any way professionally that you can foresee or imagine or anything of that sort. How do you exit the conversation? Unfortunately, you do have to just be abrupt and literally exit the conversation. It's critical not to get locked up into conversation with people who cannot help you professionally or in any other capacity. So what you want to kind of do is find random excuses to leave the conversation that are still polite. That's key. All right, say, oh, excuse me, I want to go talk to this person. Make it up. It doesn't even have to be real. You may not even know who that person is, but you do want to go talk to them instead of the other person. That's the key thing. Okay, exit the conversation as soon as you recognize that something is not going to come out of it for you. That's important because you don't have time. You have only so much limited amount of time to network with a limited number of people. All right, next little trick. All right, when you collect business cards, by the time you are done with this event, whatever event it is, you're gonna forget who's who on those cards. Chances are, not always, but usually. If you have not enough cards to forget who was who from looking at those business cards, you didn't succeed power networking. You should have enough connections made at each event that you cannot remember who was who just looking at those business cards. So that's another thing. How do you recognize one card to the other later? Number one, put notes on the back of their card. That's what I do. Number two, it's sometimes rude to put notes. So what you're gonna do is you're simply gonna pick a pocket on you. Like if you're a man and you're wearing pants, or if you're a woman and you have a purse and yet with different pockets in it, either way, pick two pockets. One pocket is for the cards that matter, and one pocket is for the cards for the people who you don't really know how you could potentially use them and probably will never contact them again. That way you don't have to be rude, you just take their card and put it in the appropriate pocket. Once in a blue moon, I'm talking to someone and I can't figure out how to make a connection to them that's meaningful, and then suddenly I figure it out and I'll move the card from one pocket to the other. It's pretty comical when that happens. Okay, wow, man, look at the view back here. Hold up, you gotta see this. That's New York City. Woo! And that's the water. And that is the back of this jet. Holy smokes, wait, you gotta see this thing up close. Holy cow, look at that. This thing is enormous. I'm literally walking under it. I'm a big dude, I can't reach the top. Okay, lots of other good power networking ideas, okay? Now, you are at this event, there's a ton of people. How do you sum up a person and identify if there's someone you want to meet or not? Unfortunately, we live in a society where looks matter and appearances matter. And if someone looks very together, there's a higher likelihood that they are someone you want to meet than the person who looks disheveled and distraught, like they came off the street, came off living off the street or something. Now, the thing is, though, looks can be deceiving, and once in a while you get these freak millionaires who don't like to dress up. So it's not a perfect science, but generally the people who are together and look together are generally going to be more likely to be a strategic connection than the ones who don't. And unfortunately, that's very superficial, but it is a reality. Look at this. This is a missile. It's not that big, actually. Considering the amount of damage this thing does, you'd think it would be a little bit larger. Okay, anyway. What else can you do? All right. Now, the thing is, you meet a lot of people. How do you actually break the ice and walk up to a stranger and start talking to them? Unfortunately, there is no secret here. Just freaking do it. Walk up to a random person and say hello. Start with hello. All right. How do you make conversation? That's an easier tactic to come up with. Pick any common theme. If you're at an event, like right here, I'm at the Intrepid. Like I could, if I wanted to talk to this dude right here taking a photo, a selfie, I could just walk up to him right now and say, wow, check out that airplane. That thing is something else. It's just, you find common areas of interest that are obvious. It doesn't have to be what you want to talk about. I wonder what that thing is at the front of the airplane. I don't really know enough about airplanes. I'd like to know more. Anyway, I have no idea what that does, but it looks pretty cool. It looks like a giant, like, Pinocchio nose. All right, anyhow, if I wanted to, let's say, talk to the dude behind me with the camera, I can make conversation about the camera. I could say, well, what kind of camera is that? And just make conversation. And then from that, transition to what I'm really trying to achieve, which is some kind of business connection or professional connection or camaraderie in a professional capacity. So you can always find ways to make conversation. And if all else fails, you could comment on clothing. It's a stupid common area, but it's easy. Yo, where'd you get those shoes? All right, for guys, it's a little harder because it's an awkward thing. Women have no problem saying to another woman, I like your shoes, I like your earrings, I like anything. With a guy, it's a little bit more awkward, but you could still do that. Talk about the sports. If you're that much of a macho man, and if you're a male that's such a macho man, say, hey, did you hear about the baseball game? I don't know. You know, you can find so much stuff that's common interest. It's not that hard. Hey, General Electric, Navy, cool. It's not really that hard to find common areas of interest. What you have to do is get over any fears of the unknown. Think about how when you talk to other people, nothing ever really bad comes out of it unless the person's a creep, which does, by the way, happen, but it's rare. And when it does, it doesn't really feel that bad because you just walk away going, wow, what a creep. Usually, if you talk to someone, it's going to be fine. They'll either respond and collaborate with you. Oh, there's an echo under this wing. They'll either respond and collaborate with you and continue the correspondence between you, or they will just be a jerk and walk away, in which case you didn't need them anyway. You know, it's not really that difficult. Honestly, walking up to strangers is not hard. What's hard is figuring out who is the strategic person to talk to. That is always a challenge, not to waste your time. But if you're comfortable exiting a conversation, and sometimes I will do it by simply, middle of the conversation, oh, excuse me, I gotta go do something. Literally, I will say, I got to go do something. I don't even say what, and just walk away. Because if I don't really want my time wasted. If someone is not going to be a strategic contact to me, I don't really need to waste time talking about it, talking with them extended. You could be polite, there's nothing wrong with that, but there's no need to go on and on about it. All right, so now you're at this event, you've kind of identified strategic contacts. What if those strategic contacts are the speakers or the honorary people at the event? It gets slightly harder to meet them because you got a whole line of people waiting to talk with them. How do you manage that? Actually, I find that to be the easiest thing because you know where they are. Seriously, I know that sounds totally creepy, like I know where you live. No, but it really is easy because you know when they're going to be on stage and when they're coming off the stage. First of all, never approach them before they go on stage for their presentation. That is the worst time. As someone who has been on stage for presentation, I hate when people do that. That's a guaranteed way to get on my list of people who are annoying. Seriously, you don't want to bother them while they're preparing for a presentation mentally. Even if they look like they're just sitting there, Don't take their attention away and start bothering them before the presentation. However, you can be the first person to talk to them when they come off that stage, and that's the key time. You know that they're going to finish that presentation sooner or later, and when they do, you're going to be the first person, or you're going to try to be the first person to come up and talk to them. That's the whole key. You want to bombard them. You want to be way up first row, right under their nose when they're presenting, so when they get off that stage, you can be the one to talk to them. This helicopter's pretty cool with the folding wings. All right. Anyhow, this is a pretty posh place, first of all. Check this out. There are like people here waiting out with champagne up front. This is a cool joint. All right. Anyhow, holy cow. This helicopter, airplane up here, I don't know what that thing is up there, but my guess is it's some kind of radar arch or something back from the 1940s, back when they needed all that. I have no idea. I don't know nothing about airplanes. This says it's a Grumman E-1 Tracer. I don't know what that is. 1954 though. All right, so that's probably some kind of radar thingamajiggy. Okay, anyhow, let's talk about picking the right people to talk to. If you are talking to the speakers at the event, which I highly recommend doing, by the way, because chances are they're the most respected people there with the most potential utilization of strategy, meaning you can find something to benefit from them a lot easier than random people you're going to meet in the audience. So always meet the speakers as long as there's some common area of interest and some reason to do so. Make sure to get them right after they get off stage, and if not, usually there's time afterwards. They start to mingle with random people at the end, and you can usually kind of make your way up there. You cannot be timid though. You cannot be afraid to walk up to people and just say hello and start talking. It's key. Power networking at its finest. Don't waste your time with those who you don't feel is going to be a likely connection, and if you do get stuck with them, be ready to exit. That's about it. It's not that difficult, although it can be scary. A lot of people are afraid to talk to random people. It happens. Don't be that way. Honestly, there's no magic to wanting to talk how do you talk to random people you don't know. You just can't be afraid. Just walk up and say hello and think, what's the worst that can happen? Worst that can happen is the guy's a jerk and doesn't give you time of day, and that does happen. Be mentally prepared for that kind of outcome. It can happen. It's not the end of the world. So what? So the guy's a jerk. Move on. Later. See you later. Smell you later, as they used to say in a Fresh Prince Bel Air. Anyway, wow, Will Smith. Anyhow, on that note, you cannot live in this world as a successful entrepreneur and not make connections. You need to network. It's so critical. A lot of what I attribute my own personal success to has been the connections I've made and the people I know and the networks I've built. I made sure to find strategic people to connect to, and have made sure that those are the people who I want to connect to, not the ones who want to connect with me and don't have any benefit to me. That's a key thing, because people will suck up your time if you let them. You have to make sure that you're meeting the right people, but when you do and your network fills up, oh my God, it's very good. Now, once you make the connection with the people at the conference, remember, just like your business card is for, just like the business cards in your pocket, you can't remember one from the other. Everyone else here is in the same boat. Chances are when you leave, you have either made a really strong impression on a person, or they will forget who you are compared to everybody else. So obviously you could try to make a strong impression. Not everybody does that, and that's okay. The next thing you want to do is go through that pocket of business cards, the ones that matter. Remember, you have two pockets of cards, ones that do matter and ones that have no obvious use to you, like the connection, not the person. The connection has no obvious use to you. Take the pocket of cards that matter and message every last person within 24 hours of that event. You could do it an hour later, you could do it the next day, but do not do it more than 24 hours later, because number one, you'll both forget who each other is, meaning you'll forget the other person will forget you, and number two, you want to do it grab it while it's hot. While whatever you were discussing, you want to kind of continue it on in an email thread right away thereafter and start that connection. Do not ask for someone's business card right the moment you meet them. I hate when people do that. When they do that, most people are very timid and will just give over the card, but they think the person's a lunatic they're giving it to. I don't even do that. I simply straight up ask, why? Why do you want my card? That usually gets people freaked out, because they don't realize that's an awkward thing. I don't know why anyone wants to contact me if they never said anything more than hello to me. So never ask for the card until the end of your interaction with that person. It's very key. All right, sometimes you have a speaker on a stage and there's like 1,000 people trying to wait to speak with them. That's the one exception to the rule where it's okay if you say, oh, I understand you don't have so much time. Do you have a card? Maybe we could connect later. That's the only time that's appropriate. If you are in one-on-one conversation with someone, do not ask for their business card until you talk to them for a certain length of time. Also, as I mentioned before, you can find common areas of interest, like you know, nice shoes or whatever common areas of interest. Be limited on the kibitzing. Kibitzing is Yiddish for joking around with each other. It means like talking mindless talk just to make the connection. All right, be limited on how long you spend doing that, because your real goal is not to talk about the person's shoes. That's just an opening line, an icebreaker. You want to speak about whatever strategic business ideas you have. You don't want to pitch. Pitching comes later. First, make that connection. However, before you can make that connection, you have to kibitz a little bit. You have to have a little bit of common areas of discussion. But once you do, move on right away to business. All right. And I'm not saying pitching, but I'm saying discussion of business. Oh, by the way, what do you do? Oh, I have so and so. Now, mind you might know what they did if you've been taking my lessons accurately and if you've Googled their names. See, everyone at these conferences wears name tags. You stick their name into Google, you might know already what they do. So it's a loaded question when you ask them what they do. And that's okay, because that's your advantage. That loaded question is gold. Ask them what they do, and you already know the answer, so you know exactly how you're gonna respond when they tell you, oh, you do XYZ company. My company does also that. Now, they don't know that you just Googled them in advance, but you do. So take that secret to the bank with you. Keep watching my videos, like, subscribe, share it whether you like it or not. Please just send it all to your friends. Even if you hate my videos and you find me annoying or love me and think that I'm the greatest block of information you've gotten today, whatever the reason, just share it anyway. It's all good, because we are in New York City at the Intrepid at a private event that had people with champagne here, but they've walked away. I think I annoyed them. I annoyed them too. Who cares, man? Live life, enjoy life. Look at this place, man. Come to New York City at the Intrepid. I love it here. All right, see you in the next video. Like, share, subscribe.
Yeah!